screen and go through. Cool. Yeah, I'm going to share my screen and go through a slideshow that our lovely Cherie, our RL in Auckland, has made for us. A lot of it is from what you would have read on the policy, but yeah, it's just reiterating what's happening there. So I'll just share that and we'll go through, and any questions, as David said, just put it in the chat and we'll get to those afterwards. So moving to level 3, and also obviously Auckland, north of Auckland, is remaining in level 4 for now. So that's just a map there of the 2 regions. So up here in level 4, and with the rest of the country, we're lucky enough to be progressing. So who can attend care once we turn into level 3? So all children whose parents or carers need to go to work and there's no one at home left to supervise them safely. So yeah, otherwise, yeah, and children also can only attend one early learning service at a time. So if they're enrolled at kindergarten as well as home-based care or kohanga or the likes, then they can only attend one of those services. So the families need to choose which service that would be. They can bring over their 20 hours ECE. Is that correct, David? Sorry, it's just unmuting.
All right, yep, go ahead.
So the 20 hours ECE can come over from other services to us if the families choose us. Is that correct?
Yeah. So we
and vice versa.
We claim for the whole. Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, so we can move that around case by case scenario, obviously. And the Ministry of Education advised services should use their discretion regarding vulnerable children. So we don't want children who are living in motels and for the likes, that's pretty stressful time for them. They'd sometimes be better off coming to have some time out at the educator's home. So we're not going to discriminate against parents needing care.
Yeah, I think the important thing there, Karen, we had a good discussion about it today, is that we aren't the judge and jury, and you probably know that there's probably some parents and you're like, really, are you a central carer? It's not our place to judge. We've got to be open and we've got to accept those children. So I think it's just a level of grace and understanding for where people are at.
So who can open? All aged carers that have demand from the families can open up as of tomorrow. So if your families need care, then you can absolutely open up and provide that care for them. If you do have demand, then the ministry does expect you to meet that demand unless you have an underlying medical condition or obviously somebody in your home. Yeah, you don't want to put people at risk. And that's on the level 3 policy has got the list of conditions, things like severe asthmatics, severe diabetics. It's not, so you can have a look at that list there and see if it's relevant to you. And if your families don't require care, then you can remain closed. Early learning bubbles are limited to a maximum of 10 children. So of course you're going to stay within your bubble, your ratio of a maximum of 4 children. It's recommended that where possible, there is one parent who can drop off, and so the same parent drops off and picks up. Case by case, not all situations parents can do that, but ideally if they are able to just have the same person pick up and drop off, then you're not going to have so many people coming in. If we could just get you to make sure your microphone's on mute so we don't get a bit of background noise, that'll be great. The general principle is to keep the same children in the bubble throughout level 3. And no social distancing rule with children, so you don't need to keep them separate or anything like that. OSCA care, so if children are going to school, then they cannot attend their OSCA hours. But if they're not attending school and their parents may have to work in the evenings or afternoons, then you can do the OSCA care. They need to belong in just the one bubble, not attending both school and home-based. Health, safety and hygiene. So no deep clean requirement before reopening, just your normal cleaning is required with setup. That's because the Delta variant is an airborne virus. So it's not like the other variant of the coronavirus where we had to clean constantly. We still do recommend that you're keeping your surfaces cleaned, which has got some guidance in our level 3 policy as well. masks are not required to be worn by educators around the children, unless you're going out for walks and that, and you choose to wear a mask, you can. We encourage parents and caregivers when doing pickups and drop-offs to wear face coverings though, so when they're dropping the children off to you. And sandpits are not to be used, and that was a ministry requirement. Disinfect and clean all surfaces daily. You should develop a routine to disinfect and clean high-touch surfaces throughout your home. So just regularly throughout the day, keep those clean and wiped down, and sleep furniture to be cleaned after use by each child as well. Sensory and modelling resources such as clay and finger paints can be provided, but individual portions for the children, and then discard, after use, of course. Resources and books, everything with wipeable covers to keep them clean daily, and anything that can be wiped down at the end of each day. Anything that can't be wiped down, to be put away and not used. The Ministry of Education advise you to open windows and doors and vents, particularly at the end of the day. So ventilation is vital with the Delta variant. And you must maintain a minimum temperature of 18 degrees throughout your home, sleep rooms and the play areas. No sharing of food amongst the children, and keeping regular hand washing and drying. Level 3 QR codes. So being home-based educators, this is your own business, and so it's a government requirement that you need to be holding a QR code poster in your home. So this must be displayed prominently at or near the entrance of your premises, so parents can scan in, or whoever comes onto your property can scan in. You must record the time, date, time, name of any person on site, such as educators, children, parents, caregivers, or any other visitors. Your attendance sheets and visitor books could be used for this as well. Staggered entry and exit times to avoid all children coming into or exiting your home all at once. So not everyone's coming into your home at once for drop-offs and pickups. If children are enrolled at the same time as each other, then you might want to talk to the parents and sort of say, you arrive at 5 to 9 and you arrive at 9:05 perhaps, just to stagger that cross contact. Excursions are not possible during level 3, but you are allowed to take the children for a walk in your local neighbourhood if you can do so safely. So just ensuring that the children and yourself are keeping a distance of 2 metres maintained with everyone outside of your bubble when you're going for those walks, and children are prevented from not touching any surfaces or objects outside of the surface premises, just to keep everyone safe. And that comes to the end of it. So just want to thank you all for your ongoing commitment and roles, and much appreciate the mahi that you do to help stop the spread of COVID. All right, I'll work out how to stop sharing. We'll have a look, see if there's any questions.
So will we share all this information, be shared with parents? Probably not the slides, but we've definitely the policy. I mean, I think the slide just gives you the highlights and probably the major changes of what was last lockdown to this lockdown. So I think last lockdown it was bubbles of 20, this lockdown it's bubbles of 10. Sandpits were open last time, sandpits aren't. Recommendation of one parent picking up, dropping off. And look, I think this question came up when we were discussing this morning between ourselves, and unfortunately I don't have an answer yet. Sorry. Also, if I have a school-aged children of the family, what happens about them? So I know there's a few of you that offer OSCAR, and I think at level 3 OSCAR is not an option. So we just need to obtain a guidance from the ministry, especially for home-based.
I had a phone call today from our local ministry, and I asked that question.
Yep.
So I have an educator who does OSCAR care, and the children won't be going to school during the day because mum's available, but she's not available in the afternoons and needs care. And they said that was fine.
There you go. Okay, cool. Are we able to claim the wage sup if we are still earning less than 40% of our wage, and if so, when? They have released it, but we don't know for level 3. So I know that it's in Auckland, Northland, level 4, yes. But we just don't know about level 3 yet. So that's a very good question. And they just haven't released that. And obviously you just need to run your calculator. So if you've got a couple of children coming in, WINS will come through, parent fees will come through, ECE funds, resource payment will come through, chuck it through the calculator again, and just make sure that you're still at that 40% threshold. If you're at, and I haven't heard anything about the resurgent support payment. Any idea if Friday we will be qualified for wage subsidy? Yeah, same question. Wellness checks and educators who read the draft earlier. Okay, so maybe we'll hand over to you, Yvette. Do you want to share your screen and we can go through the changes or the recommended changes, because it's still draft in draft format, for the policy?
I'm not sure how to share the screen. Haven't done that before.
So if you go down to the bottom and share screen, you'll see a little green button. You wiggle your mouse around, share screen, and then you just come up to the policy. If not, I can share mine and I've got the policy up. Would you like me to share it?
I'll just see. Is this the? Yep, this is it here. That looks good, doesn't it?
There you go.
No, that's the old.
Yep.
No, not this one. Can you put up the one from today, David, please?
Is there not the one from today?
Oh yeah, it is actually. It is. Okay, right. So will I read the whole thing or just the orange bits?
I think just the orange bits.
Okay.
Someone has. I think as we go through, I just see a couple of questions around if I'm open for one family, am I able to claim WINS for the other families? No, we still haven't had responses back for WINS. So just had a couple of conversations. So the recommendation from MSD, and I know that this is contradictory to what every other home base has done, and this comes specifically out of probably myself sitting on the Early Childhood Council for centres. And WINS has been sitting, or MSD has been sitting at the ECAC tables. And the recommendation from WINS has been that we hold those funds in credit for the parents' accounts. So that's the recommendation from WINS. Now that's just caused a whole lot more questions for the whole sector, really. And to date, we do not have answers. ECAC is meeting again on Friday. So hopefully we've got some answers around that. We've been holding those funds in account, just waiting to find out actually how we actually process and pass WINS on, whether or not it's got to be held in account for credit for parents, or if we can pass those through. So I think you would have seen my last comms. We've asked that through ECAC, and we've also asked it through Deloitte at a treasury level. So they talk to government at a treasury level, which is actually higher than WINS. So hopefully we get a positive answer. Cool. Yvette, go.
Okay, right. So this is our new safety plan for level 3 for this year. Under 3.2, before returning, we've just added there a wellness check. So there is a wellness check. David, is this the wellness check for the children or for the educators? Because we've got one each.
A bit of both. A bit of both. Yep.
Okay, so we've got a wellness check. I think it's at the end of this policy, a wellness check for educators and parents, just to confirm each morning when the child comes that they are feeling well and they don't have any concerns.
I think we're all used to going to the doctors and they're like, have you got a sniffly nose? Have you got a sore throat? Have you got this? And I think it's just a check-in to make sure that our parents and our children are well. And then the other aspect of that is making sure that you are well, fit and healthy.
Yeah. So we've got a the wellness check for the educators is just for level 3. So it might only be for this coming week.
Correct.
So you might hear from your VT tomorrow or in the next few days, just a general health and wellbeing check to make sure that you're feeling all good working in level 3. Okay, and a recommendation for returning to work. I'm not sure what we were doing about that.
Maybe Linda, could you maybe talk to that?
Yeah, we just changed the link. So there's an updated link.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's all been refreshed.
Oops. Okay. We're having a wee problem here. Okay. And then down further, general principles for alert level 3 in early learning settings. We have got, as with alert level 4, the preferences that bubbles are kept to a minimum of 10 tamariki, keeping to the home-based regulations ratio of a maximum of 4 children under the age of 6. And we've just covered the about OSCA children. So yeah, they can still come if they aren't attending school. Okay. Regulated adult to child ratios in each home remain the same. So we've got a link to that. Children and adults who are at a higher risk of severe illness or having underlying medical conditions. So we've got a list of the underlying medical conditions there that could place people at a higher risk. So yeah, serious respiratory disease, serious heart conditions, immunocompromised, severe obesity, hypertension, diabetes that is not well controlled, chronic kidney disease and liver disease. And we did say also that being pregnant doesn't put a person at higher risk working in this environment in level 3. Moving down. Okay. During alert level 3, visiting teachers are expected to use electronic methods, Skype, phone calls, Zoom, FaceTime to connect with educators if caring for children. So no physical visits. Yeah, and we'll just talk with our educators individually and just see which is the best day and time to do that, and which is the best technology to use. Okay, physical distancing is not required with the early learning bubbles. And then in orange again, we have got from the Ministry of Health what to do if there is a possible COVID-19 case in your settings. If there is a confirmed or probable case of COVID-19 in your setting, which could start 2 to 3 days prior to having symptoms, your service will be closed for at least 72 hours to allow time for contact tracing. We good? We good? Oh, bit of feedback there. Contact tracing and a clean of your environment to align with the Ministry of Health guidelines. Close contacts at your service, should you have any, would be anyone who had face-to-face contact in any settings within 2 meters of a case for 15 minutes or more, or having been in a closed environment, e.g. a hospital waiting room, within 2 meters of a case for 15 minutes or more. Close contacts will be required to self-isolate and will need to monitor for symptoms. There is information about self-isolation and fact sheets for contacts on the covid19.gov.nz and Ministry of Health websites. The Ministry has more information about what to do if you have a confirmed or probable case. Further closure of your service for up to 14 days in addition to closure for 72 hours for contact tracing could require closure for longer periods of time up to another 14 days, a further 14 days. Okay, and then we talk about the temperature. You must maintain a minimum temperature of 18 degrees. And then in the orange, we talk about ventilating the room. So this is something new for this year with the Delta virus. The fastest and easiest way to ventilate rooms are by opening the windows, doors, and any vents. It's good practice to fully open all windows at the end of the day for as long as possible. Ventilation considerations will also need to be balanced with the need to maintain minimum indoor temperatures. And we did say that in the deep south, we probably don't want to leave our doors and windows open for too long, because 18 degrees will go down to about 3 very quickly. Heat pumps do not provide ventilation. They only heat and cool the air in the room. If you are using a heat pump, remember to open your windows regularly and ensure the filters are clean. And then we've got another mention of our wellness check. Yeah, the spreadsheet, which I think is at the bottom of this policy, will be completed for educators by visiting teachers, during their fortnightly communications. So definitely this coming week, because we might only be in level 3 for this week. Okay, down to the bottom of the page. So yeah, and I think that we had just the final bullet point. We did do that last year too, I think. Consider putting in place staggered entry and exit times to avoid all children coming in or exiting the home all at once, and drop off at entrance to limit numbers entering site. So have a think about how you can best manage that, whether they come in 5-minute intervals. Possibly the children are coming in at different times anyway and leaving at different times. Work with your visiting teacher around how to manage that. So yeah, you can always give us a call if you've got any queries. If parents enter your home, they will need to wear a mask and scan the QR code at drop-off zone to ensure we can contact trace if necessary. So if the parents come into your gate, they really should still be using your QR code, because then we can see that people are coming and going. I think there might be some other ways we can do that down below. Face coverings are not mandatory by the educator during care. Parents are to wear masks, and explain why edge carers don't wear them. Does that make sense? We encourage parents and caregivers when doing pickups and drop-offs to wear a face mask, to wear face coverings in the same way they are strongly recommended to do so when out and about and not able to safely physically distance from others. Okay. And the other page, we're talking about disinfectant, disinfecting your things in your environment, and much the same as before. Disinfecting general areas as recommended. Household bleaches are sold in different strengths. They're on the label. You can dilute the bleach, saturate the area to be disinfected with the hypochlorite solution. Leave the solution on the area as long as possible, preferably 30 minutes. Wash off the solution thoroughly with copious amounts of water so that children and staff are not exposed to residual bleach solution. If a toilet cleaner is used, use a product that contains at least 0.5% hypochlorite. And what we discovered today is if you're making your own homemade bleach, it's good for 24 hours. Because it starts to break down if it's held in a container for longer than that. So you just might want to make up a small quantity for each day. Okay, next page. Oh, we've just got a link there. Yeah, regarding vulnerable people. Yep, you should actively discourage any person that is at a higher risk to COVID from entering the premises. you should consider limiting visitors inside the premises where possible. And the next page, the sleep space is all, yeah, it's all pretty clear there. Oh, I think the main difference there was that you are now required to wash bedding daily. The bedding, individual linen must be washed daily after use in level 3 with this Delta variant. And then we have the wellness check. And this is the wellness check that your VT will check in with you. Yep, maybe starting tomorrow or the next day. And if you ever feel unwell at any time, you can just let your VT know anytime. So yep, we don't need to do that for level 2. And then the last page is the child's daily wellness register. So we thought perhaps that parents could text the information on arrival. And once again, hopefully it's only for this week. Yeah, we don't want a lot of information, just their general well-being. So you could perhaps have, well, we talked about having a page per child, just keeping the privacy of the family. So we thought maybe having the child's name there. So just one child per page. Enrollment hours, general well-being, any symptoms, and just a comment if their bubble at home is changing, so we can keep an eye on how many connections we're entering into, and for the educator to sign at the end of the day. And that is it. Okay.
Do you want to stop sharing your screen there, Yvette?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I think one thing that you missed there, Yvette, was the PCBUs. So that's so PCBU is the Health and Safety at Work Act 2015. So person conducting a business or an undertaking. And I think Michelle, are you on here? Did have you got that up? Are you able to share an example, or just unmute yourself?
The WorkSafe plan.
Yeah. Hang on. Just asking. Michelle can talk to this. I'll just see where she's at with that. Hey, Michelle.
Yeah, I'll just find it.
Okay, so Ministry of Health or WorkSafe are asking every business owner to put a PCBU in place. So within that policy, there's a link to the PCBU, but we will upload a plan of what that looks like as a template for you to use and think about your own
Can't find it,
environment.
David.
So that is a requirement for yourself to open under level 3 in that WorkSafe area.
Can you put it up a bit?
Have you got the PCBU, Michelle?
I haven't got it saved.
I have got it, but it's not coming up. I can't select any of my
Okay,
files on
I'll
here.
see if I can save mine.
Oh, look, let's move on. So we'll put that up onto Educa. Michelle, how did you find it? Was it hard to fill out, or was it pretty easy?
No, it was pretty easy. It's just mainly the stuff we've already gone over. It's just making sure you're keeping yourself covered, making sure you're, staying away from everything you should be staying away from, following everything you're supposed to be. It's pretty much what we've been over already.
Okay, so and we've got a template of that. If we'll upload that to Educa, or we'll send it out through the Facebook links. Make sure that you've got a copy of it. Have a look at it. Should only take a couple of minutes to fill out. How long did it take you to work over that, Michelle?
Probably 45 minutes, maybe half an hour, just to put it together. So yeah, it's pretty easy.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess the main thing is how we mitigate risks. And I think that there's a lot of noise out there about ECE services, and I'm talking about kindy, kohangas, ECE, home-based, hospital services opening in level 3. What we haven't sort of said through this, and if anyone saw the bulletin, not tonight's bulletin, but last night's bulletin, it said that if a service didn't open, funding wouldn't flow through. Did anyone see that? So we do actually have a requirement under level 3 to open our doors if children want to come. So just let you know about that. I think that there is a lot of noise out there. We are aware of it. What we've presented tonight is our requirements from the ministry, and I think that the most important thing is that we're here to service our community, service our children. You've got great relationships with your parents, and most of us want to be open. I think that if you've got anxiety about your health, you might not have that point of view, and that's fair enough. And so I think as a group, we've just got to meet where each person is at. And if you have anxiety, and that's why we've put that wellness check in there, that you need to check in with yourself and say, actually, hang on, I've got some concerns here. And that's where you've got to reach out to your visiting teacher to have that conversation, and hopefully we can work through those and come to hopefully a good resolution. So look, there's some negotiables and non-negotiables. What we've represented tonight is the non-negotiables. It's kind of like the sandpits. Sandpits are closed, and we were kind of like, well, that's pretty strange. It's an airborne Delta variant. We had the discussion about mud kitchens and dirt, which I think Yvette sort of shared with us. And I think the difference is sometimes, I guess, there's a layer of polyurethane underneath the sandpits, or it's covered, and so the water doesn't run through. I don't know what your sandpit is like compared to mud if it rains, and there's that drainage and everything. But sometimes it's just trying to make sense of Ministry of Health and Ministry of Education guidelines and putting that into practice. So I think we do our best to mitigate the risk, and mitigate the risk for yourself, mitigate the risk for your tamariki and their whānau and their bubbles. So just let me move on to some of the chat questions. Have we, so QR codes. I think QR codes are there for our parents, but if you've got a contractor coming in to your house, I would expect you to, they would write down into your visitor kiti kaitiaki part of that. I know I haven't said that right, but everyone knows what I mean. If you've got a visitor coming into your home, you record it. So that's QR codes. It's pretty easy to get most of our educators from last lockdown have got QR codes. If anyone struggles, I think it's pretty easy. We talked about this at lunchtime. Cherie, I'm going to pick on you. Do you want to just jump in and just sort of, can you remember the conversation around QR codes?
Yeah, apparently
Yeah,
it's
it was
pretty
me.
easy. to go online and do that. But I would just suggest touching base with your VT and they can assist you with that.
Yvette, did you have something to say?
Yeah, it takes about a minute to get your QR code returned to you by email, and all. I'm happy. Yeah, VTs might find it easier, but pretty much you're just putting in your name and address and date of birth, I think, and your your place where your care is taking place. So yeah, they don't ask much. And you, at the moment, they're sending them back within about a minute, your poster for printing.
Okay. Linda, we've got a question there. Shannon will double check with deep cleaning. I thought it was just wiping down the usual surfaces, spraying. Did you want to talk to that,
If
Linda?
there was a COVID outbreak, I'm not 100% sure, because we've actually had that discussion in our teachers meeting too. Hi, everyone. Alana's sister had to do a deep clean at her hair salon. So we were wondering, do educarers have to do a deep clean, especially if there has been a case of COVID? I'm not 100% sure, but I can look through all the ministry bulletins. And you've got some cool peeps that you talk to too, David, so you can help me with that, answering that question. Not sure about the deep clean, if you have to pay someone to do it.
Okay, so I think going into level 3, if anyone's read the bulletin tonight, level 3 means that we're pretty confident that Delta or COVID-19 is not within the public. So there's been, and the ministry made reference to water checking and everything else. We've just done a big sort of 14-day lockdown. So besides Auckland and Northland, the rest of the country has gone back down into a level. So the level of risk that COVID is within community has dropped. So because of that, there's a bit of relaxation around what we do. Now, COVID-19 in a Countdown supermarket or an interest of location up in Auckland, they would be doing a deep clean. Whereas in centre-based, centre or ECE or home-based, it's as per the slides Karen was going through, it was just making sure that you're wiping down and cleaning those high-touch areas, getting the diluted, what is it, GIF out, and what's the word? Someone tell me.
Disinfectant or genola.
Genola. Diluting your genola and spraying it out, not wiping it down, but spraying it out, out and about. And I think so. That's acceptable. Now, if you become a close contact, or if unfortunately, worst case scenario, there's a COVID case with one of your children in your home, that's quite a different scenario. And when that happens, we notify the Ministry of Health, and the Ministry of Health actually, and the Ministry of Education actually step in and supply a lot of support. So I think for that deep cleaning, I think we're okay. It's only if there's a COVID case within your home, and then we will follow Ministry of Health and Ministry of Education guidance and support. Hopefully that's clear enough. At least I didn't say keep your legs apart, like Chris Hipkins did. Hey, Robin, ministry guidelines state that you are to do both written and app. We'll screenshot you the part. Okay, Linda, what was that talking about?
Whether you have to do a written register as well as scanning the QR code. So the ministry bulletin this afternoon or this evening came out and said that you do have to do both. So the parents do need to scan their QR, and you are to also physically write the documentation. I guess the QR codes, it goes to that big QR place. And the written documentation is just there for you to have for your records.
Cool. Thanks for that. Lisa, so is that from you again, Linda?
Yeah, sorry, I've been answering the questions as they've come along.
No,
So
that's
just you know, time is quite precious for everyone. So I thought if I can try and answer some questions, that'll save a bit of time for everyone to, yeah, time is
So
precious.
what was that? What was that about copies of the wellness check? So you'll send those out?
Yeah, so I can send out a Word document if visiting teachers can't drop them off in the mailbox. You can just type it into your Word document and click save and then open it up again for the next day.
Okay. So, sorry, can you clarify regarding wellness checks? An educator of ours was wondering what to do. Sorry, can you just clarify regarding wellness checks? An educator of ours was wondering what to do in the event that a parent refuses to or does not provide wellness info in advance of a child being dropped off. Good question. Look, I think we know our difficult parents sometimes that push boundaries, and I think before I was sort of saying, hey, even receiving a child, if we know that they're not a central carer, it's not our place to be judge and jury. I think the ministry has been pretty clear on that front. So as long as we take all steps to mitigate risk that making our house safe to receive child in a COVID environment, we can open. So I would put there that parent has refused to answer questions. Now, if the child turns up and clearly they're unwell and you take a temperature, then I'd probably be, that's where I'd probably maybe escalate it to the VT. I'd be ringing up the parent and saying, hey, can you come collect our child? And I think that's something that we probably deal with on a regular basis anyway. Everyone would agree. Yeah. But I think we're just trying to be extra vigilant, and I think that wellness check-in is, because level 3, it's just trying to mitigate that risk. We had a really good discussion this afternoon. If it's if it's just extra work for no purpose, just doing the work. But I think that actually it's a nice way of front-footing that conversation of saying, hey, is your child well, to attend, because you put me at risk, you put the whole bubble at risk if there is an issue there. And one thing that we do know is Delta is another beast compared to our previous lockdown. So we just want to make sure that, A, we're looking after you and your families. And so when we sort of understand that and come from a softer place and front foot that in a nice way, is what's the wellness of your child. I think parents will accept that. Yes, educator just needs to fill that out. And I guess it covers yourself from a PCBU point of view, person conducting a business, and that you've taken every step to ensure that your home environment is a safe place to enter. So it's about ticking a box, but it's probably an important box. What about us parents who are also doing home learning? Can we remain closed for this reason? This actually came up in our lunchtime conversation, and I haven't got an answer about that. So we know that Oscar Care is closed, but we haven't sort of talked about our own children. What you got to consider is that at level 3, ECE services are considered as essential care. So as essential care, do you need to send your own children to school so that you can care for families? Really touchy subject, really touchy subject. But it's a hard question. At this stage, I look at the ministries. We're trying to find some guidance on that. We haven't had answers around that at the moment. And I guess, then you read down below that, and the ministry bulletin is, if you're not open for care, funding won't be received, passed on. So it's pretty clear on the stance that the ministry have taken, Teresa. We'll try and obtain some information around that, because the other thing you've got to think about is, if you're a larger family, what are the ratios around that OSCR requirement? Karen, you confirmed that around OSCR, didn't you? So how was your interpretation with the ministry when you talk to them?
Yeah, with regards, you mean to not opening because of homeschooling your own children? Yeah, we didn't really touch on that with the ministry, but from what I've read in the bulletins and things, it states that unless you or your family in your bubble are immune compromised, from that list that Yvette read out in the policies, then you're open for care.
Yeah, that's why I understand. Yeah. Open to anyone sort of talking about that. So, what else? So I see there's some questions coming. There's a link in the policy, Teresa. So if you choose to close because of asthma, diabetes, etc., so as long as it's on the Ministry of Health immune compromised site, CAPI, you're cool to say, actually, in this environment at level 3, I can't open. And on that basis, we'll continue as if you're in level 4. Vix, yes, David, not answered. So educator would like to know, do they have to use bleach or can they just a disinfectant? Has anyone, I haven't read anything other than that. No, makes sense to me. Like, I mean, we use, like, and we use pretty much, I guess, sustainable or green sprays. So that's something that you wouldn't find in our home, just disinfectant. So Lisa, have you got any homeopathic recommendations for a substitute of disinfectant?
Probably tea tree oil. Think it'll work. Yeah, but Danola's the best. That's what they're recommending. Yeah.
And I think, coming from a swimming background, I know that chlorine is pretty bloody good at killing off COVID. So I wonder if that's why they're recommending it. On the MSD side, it says that second round of wage subsidies are for level 4 and 3 support for business. I've sent. Cool, Joe. Thank you for that. Missed that one. Yes. Oh, and when does it open? Does it open Thursday or Friday for that wage?
Friday, 9 o'clock.
Cool. There you go. Yes, cool. Sorry, on that topic, if educators send their children to a school, then the children come home. Yeah. Do you know what? It's something that we're sort of, so we've got 3 centres, and we're sort of going, okay, how do we operate? Because there's no OSCR care. We've got our teachers between school hours, and then they've got to go home and look after their own. Yes, it's a nightmare. So, you know, mate, it's just going to be one of those things where you sort of say to your parent, hey, I've got my children coming back home at 3:30 p.m. I'm going to be closed because I'm going to be out of that. I can only open for this amount of hours. I think that is something that people, whether or not they're at home base or service base, parents are going to sort of accept, and I think employees are kind of acceptable maybe of working and aware of that in anyway. So hopefully most of them are sending them off to yourself and maybe going to their home environment because their offices are closed. I know Deloitte's, so a lot of the professional offices are closed, but they're working from home. And they might go, actually, I just need to send my child to ECE services through that work hour so I can work through these hours. And that's okay. So, yep. If your families don't need care. So if none of your families don't need care, yes, you can close. You can buy Milton to, oh, thank you. Look at that. Cool. Is there any questions that I've missed? Anyone's got any? Has anyone got a recommendation of those changes to the policy?
Hey, David, Jen was asking, do you still get funding if there's no care required?
It would stay the same as level 4. So as soon as we open, everything goes through. We're open, so that's like your wins, your resources, everything's back to normal. And I think the feel is this time 85% of early childhood centres haven't been, I know I'm talking centres, haven't been able to receive the wage subsidy or the resurgence support payment. So they're actually looking forward to opening and starting all that up to sort of get things back, because we all know how hard it is at this stage to be in ECE with the government funding. So we're in the same boat. But yeah, it gets sort of hard if you've got 2 children coming. Does that put you at 38%, and then you can't get your wage subsidy? And yeah, it is. It's a hard scenario, and unfortunately at level 3 we're open, and those ratios have been moved further by Treasury, Grant Robson, around that. So as soon as you're open, we will, the floodgates open for your funding for your child. Yeah, I know it's a hard one. We're all, please believe me, we're all doing it. We're all doing it hard. So doesn't make an easy call, unfortunately. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, if everyone's happy, unfortunately I've been flat tack all day, and I haven't been able to have a look at Educa and whether or not there was any questions or recommendations. I'm just talking to our visiting teachers and our team. Did anyone get a chance to look at Educa? Yeah.
I've got the comments and I've put it in already. Draft version 2.0.
Okay. So was there anything that sort of stood out there, Linda, that you thought was worth mentioning? Any good recommendations?
Yeah, I want to thank Jo. I don't know if she's still on here, from the Bay of Plenty. She's such a legend. Just some couple of spell check bits and pieces. And of course, with this COVID documentation, we're talking about the Delta variant. So we thought we won't weave the Delta in there. It is the lens of the Delta strain. And that's the only feedback that we got.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Look, really do appreciate your time. Please, there's that wellness checklist there to check in with your VT if you have high anxiety or concerns. And please believe me, that is real and that is okay, and we need to manage that as a risk and work through this. So hopefully it's a week. Let's look forward to next Tuesday being in level 2, and we can open up a little bit. For our Auckland team, Cherie, I know Joanne's sick. I know that you and Lily, I can't see you on my front screen here, but our thoughts are with you in level 4. And yeah, hopefully another couple of weeks you guys will be joining us in level 3 and then level 2. Look, guys, appreciate all that you do. Please reach out if there's anything that we can help you with. Otherwise, pretty much being on an hour, that's pretty good. We'll leave you there. Ka pai, and all the best for tomorrow.